the college football playoff rankings did come out last night, and it goes as follows. I apologize for looking down because I cannot memorize all this stuff, and I will also go like the projected field and all this too for the 12-team college football playoff. So Ohio State, Indiana, Texas A&M, Georgia, Texas Tech, Ole Miss, Oregon, Oklahoma, Notre Dame, Alabama, BYU, Utah, Miami, Florida, Vanderbilt, USC as the University of Southern California, Georgia Tech, Texas, Michigan, Virginia, Tennessee, Illinois, Missouri, Houston, Tulane, and Arizona State. So the ones that dropped out from last week to this week on the CFP rankings: Louisville, Iowa, Pitt as in Pittsburgh, South Florida as in USF, and Cincinnati, obviously. So as you can tell, the highest ACC team right now is Miami, Florida, but the problem for them is they have to win out and get some help just to make the ACC title game. Because when you look at the standings for the conference, Georgia Tech is at 6-1. Virginia is at 6-1. Pitt is at 5-1. Same thing goes for SMU. Yeah, they would have to get some help along the way. But it will be interesting to see what happens. And I'll go like those 4 teams ahead of them. Like Pitt is obviously going to play Georgia Tech this week. So that's going to clear out a little bit. And obviously Georgia Tech, that's their last conference game. So if they beat Pitt, they're in good shape for the ACC title game. Because the following game is a non-conference game against Georgia, that's currently number 4 in the CFP rankings right now. And it's a neutral site game at Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, Georgia. So that'll be interesting down the line. Like Virginia's last game, they're on a bye week this week, but they didn't play Virginia Tech at home the following week. But I know Virginia has lost to Virginia Tech more than times than not. But this is an interim coach, and I do think Virginia Tech might give them a fight. So we'll see what happens down the line. I already went over Pitt's game against Georgia Tech. Then they get to play Miami, Florida, and Miami, Florida will have to come to Pitt. So if Pitt does lose this week, will they have a hangover spot? That's the thing. Or will they not? Now, obviously, SMU, they have Louisville this week, and I don't trust Louisville right now, but still. Then SMU has to go on the road to Cal. That's not as long of a road trip when compared to some ACC teams out there, but still, you have to consider the travel factor possibly. So it's going to be interesting there. And even Miami, Florida, like I said, they're going to play Pitt the last week of the season, and they have to go on the road to Virginia Tech this week. If they lose this week or the following week, forget ACC title game for sure. Let's just be clear. Even if they win both games, it's going to be so tough for them to make the college football playoff when they're not even going to play for the ACC title game. And the only other team that's like 4-2 in conference is Duke, and they got to go on the road to North Carolina next. Honestly, they should win that game, but still, not going to be. It's a rivalry. And then they got Wake Forest at home the last week of the regular season, but Wake Forest is better than we thought going into the year. So I just wanted to go over that because it does matter for the college football playoff and all this. So I really have a hard time believing Miami, Florida is going to make the college football playoff if they don't get to the ACC title game. So, yeah. I will say, though, A&M did survive a scare this past weekend against a bad South Carolina team. I don't necessarily think they're as good as their record shows, but they really should beat Samford this week. Yeah, Samford, not Stanford. Samford's got an interim coach. They really should win. But then they have to go on the road to Texas. It's a rivalry game. Anything can happen. And if they do lose that game, if A&M does, it could create chaos in the SEC. Because we all know A&M would have one conference loss, and honestly, Georgia is done with the SEC schedule because the games they have left are non-con games. Then there's Ole Miss with 6-1, and Ole Miss is on a bye this week, and they have to go on the road to Mississippi State next week. But I will say that's not like last year's Mississippi State team. They're better. Maybe they'll pull off an upset. Maybe not. And there's obviously Alabama. Alabama at 6-1. And they only have one conference game left, and they really honestly should win this week against Eastern Illinois University. It's more like going on the road to Auburn with an interim coach. So if they win that game and A&M does lose, then it creates some chaos on who gets to the SEC title game. Title game here. So as you can tell, Oklahoma's gonna, as long as Oklahoma wins against Missouri at home and LSU with an interim coach, they're gonna make the college football playoff. That's what the rankings are showing right here. Let's just be honest. And Vanderbilt, yeah, the only chance for them is to get some help to make the CFP, but that really wasn't their goal going into the year. It's like getting to a bowl game or better, but still. They do have Kentucky at home this week. Vanderbilt does. They should win that game, honestly. But then they got to go on the road to Tennessee. So that could be an elimination game anyway for Vanderbilt. So, maybe they'll still not make it with the loss there, but still. Like, we already know Ohio State should beat Rutgers this week. Then they have to go on the road in Michigan. And Michigan has owned Ohio State the last few years. And I know Michigan was not that good last year, but they still beat Ohio State. So that's really, are they going to lose one conference game, or are they not going to lose any conference games, period? That's the truth. Now, Indiana's currently undefeated as well. And they're on a bye this week, so they have to go on the road to Purdue, and that would be like an epitome of brutality loss when I see one. Because Purdue's like 2-9 right now. So yeah, that's what it seems like to me is what the Big Ten title game is going to look like. Obviously, there's USC. They're currently 6-1. Same thing goes for Oregon, and both of those teams play each other this week. So that's a big matchup. Because what if USC does win? Maybe they'll have a shot to make the CFP as an at-large. Maybe, maybe not. And if with a loss for Oregon, it kind of murks it up a little bit, possibly. But then USC they got UCLA at home. They honestly should beat UCLA, even with an interim coach. They should. And Oregon's last game is against Washington on the road. That could be a dangerous game right there. So, we'll see. It is not, and already kind of went over Michigan's last game against Ohio State. And they got Maryland on the road, but they barely beat Northwestern on the road last week. So, yeah, it's not a guarantee they're going to make the CFP, even if they obviously went out. Maybe there's an outside shot. But for sure, losing Ohio State, yeah, you're done. It's just telling the truth. I might as well go like the Big 12 like real fast here. There's obviously like Texas Tech is up top. At 7-1, the only loss was to Arizona State, but that was with Sam Leavitt at quarterback though. And they're on a bye this week, and they have to go on the road to West Virginia. West Virginia's playing, and that's the last week of the season. But West Virginia's been playing better football. They almost beat Arizona State on the road. So, and it's travel could affect them there, but still, I will say if Texas Tech does lose that game, it could create some chaos in the Big 12. And speaking of chaos, BYU is currently 6-1. They really should beat UCF at home that last week of the regular season. It's more like, are they going to beat Cincinnati on the road this week? You could argue that they could lose that game or they could win that game. I know I said earlier this week Cincinnati would beat them, but even then I'm not that confident either direction. Because one, Cincinnati lost at home to Arizona, and two, it's travel for BYU, potential like cross-country travel. It does matter. So Utah, the only way, their two conference losses are to Texas Tech and BYU. The problem for Texas and for Utah is they would have to get some help to even make the Big 12 title game in order to make the college football playoff. They really should beat Kansas State on the road next week. Kansas State on the road this week. At home this week, and then they have to go on the road to Kansas, and Kansas could be fighting for a bowl game spot. So, and that would be Jalen Daniels' last career game at home too. So that can be a trap game, potentially a trap. There's obviously Houston. They're at 5-2. I don't think they're going to make the CFP. There's no chance. The only way for them to make the CFP is find a way to get to the Big 12 title game. And Houston does have TCU this week, but Houston's only favored by 1.5 at home. So, I don't know. And they have to go on the road to Baylor, and Baylor could be very well fighting a bowl game spot, or if Baylor were to lose this week to Arizona, Dave Aranda could go into the game with no pressure and give all he can just to make it to a bowl. Or if they beat Arizona, he's going to try to do every stop potentially to get to 7-5, and then maybe become a debate about whether or not Dave Aranda stays at Baylor or not. But it's all a TBD for that situation because of the Mac Rhodes mess. Yeah, I just want to go over that. And honestly, Arizona State, without their strong quarterback, I don't see a way they make the college football playoff either. They have to go on the road to Colorado next, and they're not as good as last year, obviously, but they barely beat West Virginia at home. And then, honestly, Arizona State plays Arizona the last week of the regular season. Right now, even though that game is at Arizona State, I might pick Arizona to win that game because they have the better quarterback of the two. And yes, I get it's senior day for Arizona State, but they barely beat West Virginia at home with a back quarterback like that. And now you get to play an Arizona team. Yeah, that's the thing. And honestly, there's Cincinnati in the mix at 5-2. They do have BYU this week. The only way they're going to get to the Big 12 title game is to win the last two games and then get some help. That's the only way. Let's just be real. And the problem for Cincinnati is they got BYU at home this week. I know I predicted them to beat the BYU, but even then I'm not that confident. And then there's TCU on the road. And the thing about TCU is they could very well fight for a bowl game spot this week. For next week. They could. That's the only bugaboo I see. Obviously, I'm going to just go over Notre Dame's path, obviously. If they were to lose one more game that they shouldn't, like Syracuse at home or Stanford on the road, forget the CFP for sure. Then they're definitely going to miss it. But if they win both, they're definitely going to make it. let's just be real. I might as well go like the American and then the Sun Belt just real fast. Like right now, the group of five represented would be Tulane. But even then, it's a chaos league. I mean, they have like Navy at 6-1, Tulane at 5-1, North Texas 5-1, East Carolina at 5-1. Right now, I might as well just go like Navy's schedule first. They obviously have Memphis on the road, like the following week. Not this. They don't play this week, and then they have the Army-Navy game. But that's like the week after like the conference title games. So, it'd be interesting there. And Tulane does have Temple on the road. Temple could be very well fighting for a bowl spot. And they got Charlotte home. They really should beat Charlotte. It's more like, are they going to beat Temple on the road? Because clearly Temple is better than last year. It's clear. And there's North Texas in the mix. They have to go on the road to Rice. They're fighting for a bowl game with the new head coach. They really should win that game, but you never know. And not only that, what if their head coach is kind of distracted potentially to becoming a new head coach somewhere else? And then they have Temple at home the next Friday. So if they win both of those games, they go to the American. And the last one from the American I really could see is East Carolina. They have to go on the road to UTSA. UTSA is fighting for a bowl game spot, and FAU is currently 4-6, and they're on the road the following week. And FAU, if they do win this week, if they do, depending on the opponent, they're fighting for a bowl game spot as well. Yeah, I would say forget about the bowl game spot for sure, because they're going to play a good UConn team this week. Yeah, forget about it. I just don't see it. And you can't really discount James Madison, what they've been doing. I mean, they won every game except the Louisville game. And the only problem for them possibly is like their conference is not strong enough to make the CFP. But if the American beats each other up, if they do, maybe they will get to the CFP somehow as the G5 representative. And honestly, James Madison does have Washington State at home. They should really win that game. And they had to go on the road to Coastal Carolina the following week. So they really can't afford any losses there. And there's no use to going any other possibilities for the Sun Belt, because the only Sun Belt team I think could make the college football playoff is James Madison. And obviously, they would have to win the conference title game as well for James Madison to even get there. So, yeah, I just wanted to go over the conference standings somewhat. So the current 12-team college football playoff projected field, the 1 seed would be Ohio State, the 2 seed would be Indiana. That makes sense to me. There's obviously A&M at number 3. There's Georgia at number 4, Texas Tech at number 5. The number 6 would be Ole Miss. Number 7 would be Oregon. The number 8 would be Oklahoma. And the number 9 is Notre Dame. The number 10 would be Alabama. Number 11 would be Miami, Florida. Number 12, and finally number 12 would be Tulane. So yeah. The problem for Miami, Florida is, like I said earlier, they would have to win out and then get some help just to make the ACC title game. That's the only problem I see. After that, I see some other like ACC teams getting in over Miami, Florida. I do. So I decided to just go over this now instead of last week. Obviously, I wanted to get closer to the regular season ending, and I'll go over like in a week from now, and then obviously the week of the conference title games. It's no use in all this, so we're going to honestly wait and see what happens this week. Because if the American does continue to beat each other up, maybe there's a shot for James Madison to get the CFP as a G5 champion representative. Maybe there's a shot. So anyways, if you like this content, hit the like, subscribe button. See you guys later on the road to 800 subscribers. Course ultimate goal is 1,000 more to month. This course like video, comment video really helps YouTube background. Some more people see it. Sharing the video does help as well. Some more people can watch. And if you're watching, and not subscribe, hit subscribe button for the notification bell as well.